Mm-hmm. Are we live?
We are.
Let's quickly see. I just want to double check and make sure we're live. There we are. Hi, everybody. It's Wednesday again. Can you believe this week went really fast, hey, Antonette? It feels like yesterday that we had our Wednesday evenings. Hi, Leanne. Hi, Antonette. And hi, everybody else. Welcome to Pawz People Wednesday evening. Thank you so much for joining us. And tonight we've got a very special lady in the studio. And I would like to send a warm welcome to Leanne Williams. And we're going to fall in. Leanne, tell us about you. Tell us what you do, who you are, and what makes you the crazy dog lady.
Okay. I'm a middle-aged dog crazy dog lover. My husband really thinks I've lost the plot. He says we crossed a line 6 dogs ago. So apparently I'm not allowed to get any more dogs. Although we have an agreement that for every dog I get, he gets to have a guitar. So here's hoping for one more. Okay, so I'm a full-time canine yoga and agility coach. Canine yoga is a lifestyle brand of canine fitness developed by Ansie van der Walt. She's a physiotherapist based in Midrand. And the story goes, I'm telling it secondhand, so I hope I do it justice. Back when Ansie was a student, she thought she could get more business, more physiotherapy clients in by starting a Pilates class. Because during the Pilates class, people would be moaning about all their aches and pains, and then she could hopefully sell them a physiotherapy treatment. And she discovered by accident that with the Pilates, these patients of hers needed less treatments. So it kind of shot herself in the foot. She actually, in getting her patients into Pilates regularly, all of their aches and pains just suddenly disappeared. And so years later, when she moved into the animal physiotherapy practice, she created canine yoga. And that is also going to help significantly reduce all of the aches and pains that our dogs face on a day-to-day basis. Does that answer your question?
Yes, totally. But before we go into the canine yoga, I want to just throw a few spanners here. I want you to tell us about your too many dogs and too many guitars in the house. Or introduce us to your dogs. Tell us about your dogs.
Okay. All right. So I started my dog career with a crazy Siberian Husky. He was the quintessential Siberian Husky, right down to the screaming, the escaping, the running down the street, jumping into the neighbor's pool, then climbing onto their nice white couch, then getting into the security guard's car, wet, and then finally being returned to our home. So he would roll in something disgusting at 10 o'clock at night, and we'd have to bath him. And the neighbors once actually called the police on us for the child screaming. It wasn't a child, it was our dog trying to have a bath. So we landed right in the deep end. To say that we didn't cope was an understatement. I'd say the only reason that Cadus survived anything was because I found the right dog trainer to help me. And my second dog was Luna Lovegood. She was a lot calmer and a lot easier to manage. And as it turns out, that was actually because she was quite sick. She had some sort of undiagnosed neurological problem. She had massive amounts of food allergies. She had epilepsy. The epilepsy, it turns out, was from malnourishment. And she had spinal problems. So she was dragging her back legs by 3 years old. And so we landed ourselves right in the deep end. And that started, it was. And then we got Simon, who was the picture perfect Husky. Like, I don't think Simon says is not a Husky. He's a border collie wearing a Husky's outfit. I don't know where this dog comes from. So he's been to world champs 3 times. He won a bronze medal in 2022, which is a massive achievement for a Husky in a border collie sport. And he goes everywhere with me. I literally treated myself to a romantic trip to France with my dog to celebrate my 40th birthday, and I left my husband at home. So he knows where he is in taking all
that. That's something I will do as well.
Then I decided that in order to be a really successful dog trainer, a coach, I need to branch out, experiment with different breeds. I can't claim to know how to train all types of dogs if I've never owned all types of dogs. So I got an Australian Shepherd. She made me miss my old Husky, my first one. So she's taken me down the behavior rabbit hole. She is a very, very nervous dog. Retha once dropped off some Valentine's Day balloons and some dog food and asked me to take photos of my dogs with that. And Sage completely melted down because there were balloons. She even finds her own reflection scary. So she's, again, it's been educational. I've learned a whole lot. I've done a whole lot of extra courses because of her. I love her to bits. I still haven't had the heart to move her from the breeder's name into my own. I may still threaten to send her back now and then.
Yes, I do not believe you.
Then I've got little Ruskable Ruby. She's a miniature American Shepherd. This dog, she was an impulse buy. I had no intentions of getting her. The people that were supposed to take her canceled because she was the wrong color. I took one look at her videos of all the little puppy culture exercises the breeder was doing with her, and I fell in love. And so she came home, and she has won SA Champs. She's been the top medium dog for 2 years in a row at SA Agility Champs, the Kusa, the biggest Kusa show of the year. She qualified for World Champs 2 years in a row via SADA, the South African Dog Agility Association. We were supposed to be in Spain at the moment, representing South Africa, but I broke my leg, so we had to cancel. Yeah, and Ruby, she is just spectacular. She's my first 100% raw raised dog. She is a absolutely perfect specimen, perfect skeleton, perfect muscles. She takes strain because she lives with 4 other big dogs and she's the only small one. So we frequently rushing her to 4-ways vets in the middle of the night because the dogs have bowled her over, and she just bounces back. She's an elastic band, just bounces back. And then my final dog is Feisty Flea, the Border Collie. Everybody thinks he's a girl because he's very pretty. He's got a long, slender body and a pointy face and pointy ears. He's named after Michael Bolzery from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Flea, the bassist. And he is my turn to the dark side. I swore I would never get a Border Collie. Feels like selling out. But yeah, I fell in love with his mom, his auntie, his family, all of the owners of all of those dogs. And so it's not just about the Border Collie, it's about the relationship I have with my friends and my colleagues. It's a really nice little family. Like for their birthdays, we'll go and have a family birthday party with all the littermates. It's really sweet.
It is.
And yeah, I'm still hoping for one more Sipe one day. My heart will always be with the Sipes.
I find it so interesting how the dogs we own teach us lessons in life on about how we evolve in our careers and what we do so far. Because I'm sure from Caders up to Luna Lovemore up to Flea, you've had extra things that you added to your skills in order to accommodate those dogs. And I really do think dogs choose us because we've got so much to learn from them. So I think, and then that, thanks for sharing your family with us. I think it's a very special family. I've got the privilege to be very involved with them, and I love every one of them even more. Simon, I've never been a Husky fan, but Simon stole my heart as well. The first time I saw him, I just thought this is the most gorgeous dog with the best personality, and he looks like such a naughty boy, but he is a gorgeous dog. And even Ruby, not Sage, is for me is, I've got a very soft spot for her. She's very special. So it's nice that you could share your family with the rest of the people, because I think I'm very privileged to know them.
Yeah, no, it sounds like an amazing family.
Simon, you are very honored to know Simon. Simon has literally sold autographs around the world. I dipped his little paw in South African flag colored paint, and we stamped them on various pieces of paper, and those went all over the world. So you are quite right. You are very privileged to know him.
Yeah. And we are very privileged to have basically all the Williams children as Pawz Raw ambassadors, and they are frequently visited, showed on posts on packaging and things like that, because they are just gorgeous. So, Antonette, I know you're burning up with a lot of questions.
I've got so many questions. Well, I'm going to start off. I mean, first of all, I must just say, I think my downward dog is seriously dodgy at this point. But if we talk about canine yoga, is it about the cute poses? Is it about the humans? A bit of both?
It's about the relationship, the working relationship. Yeah, 100% about the working relationship. It's a team activity. The dog cannot do it without the handler. It's both parties working together in a nice flow.
How does it work? Is there like a basic skill that's needed for the dog? Talk me through that a little bit.
You can start. I literally started canine yoga with my puppies the day they came home. Provided that the puppy is settled and not stressed in the new environment, I would start straight away. Simon, being the confident puppy he was, he didn't even go home. We literally took him from the breeder straight to a canine yoga class. Then he went home. And I think that's made all the difference. So you don't need any skills. You're starting right from scratch. Canine yoga will teach you the very, very basics right up to the most advanced stuff. So you can start, in fact, starting with a fresh slate is always easier for the coach, because I don't have to teach you to unlearn things. I love getting a brand new handler who's got their first dog and they've never done dog training before. That for me is my favorite part of my job. The handlers who think they know more tend to be a little bit more difficult. So we've got to, it's not about holding a sit stay for an obedience qualification or for a rosette. It's about holding a perfect form sit stay. And that might mean adjusting your treat position and increasing your rate of reinforcement, where in formal obedience, you're not allowed to use treats. And it doesn't matter if the dog's a little bit sloppy or if their spine is roached. You've really got to work hard on the form. Where were we going with this? I got excited. I forgot. I lost my track. My train of thought.
No, just, obviously you're talking about puppies now as well. So canine yoga is for all ages.
Everything. Absolutely everything. Yeah. We will start you off wherever you fit in. So if your dog doesn't cope well in a class environment, or your puppy hasn't yet had their full vaccination schedule, we can do online sessions. I mean, it's absolutely available to everybody.
Yeah. And if you do like the group sessions, do you want the dog to be a little bit social, or can it be a dog that's shy?
Nice if all of the dogs were nice and social, but also because canine yoga fits, we will adjust the lesson for every dog. I also have a tendency to get passed on the more difficult dogs. So generally, if a dog isn't coping very well in an obedience class, say a canine good citizen class, or an obedience, elementary obedience, beginner obedience, say they're not fitting in quite well, then they can do a couple of months of canine yoga. I'm very fortunate at our Honeydew branch. We've got multiple fenced in areas. So I can teach 5 dogs and each of them is completely behind a fence. So everybody is completely safe and all under control. So it's very adjustable. And then I do try and match energy levels. So I've got a class that I reserve more for the reactive dogs, and I've got a class that I reserve more for the small, friendly dogs. But it doesn't always work out like that. People's schedules being what they are.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So apart from the ages, it's also any size dog. So
any size dog. Absolutely.
Yorkies, Great
Exactly.
Danes, all the
I've
ranges.
got a little Iggy, a little Italian Greyhound. She's so little. Her little back legs are the size of my pinky finger. And if the sun is behind her, you can see through her skin. She's transparent. And then I've got an Irish Wolfhound in one of my classes. He is an equipment challenge. We struggle to find appropriate sized equipment for him. And it doesn't help that he's twice the size of his handler. So yeah, any size, any age, any ability group.
Okay, so interesting. You mentioned the equipment now. So what kind of equipment are we talking about?
Okay. My favorite lesson to teach is the no equipment lesson. I've got about 5 or 6 workouts where there's absolutely no equipment. All you need is a patch of ground that is non-slip. So a patch of carpet or grass, or I went and bought a whole lot of yoga mats because my tiles are very slippery, and I'll put the yoga mats side to side. So that's about the maximum amount of equipment you need to get started. Then my beginner handlers, I'm not going to say go and buy a whole lot of equipment before you know you even enjoy it. We will use things we find around the house. COVID lockdown was a blessing in this way. All of my students were coming to classes. We had all the equipment for them, and then we were limited to online classes, and we couldn't even go shopping. So we got creative. You do not need any equipment. If you walk me around your house with a camera and you don't mind telling me that's not going to work because that scatter cushion happened to be 1,000 rand, then we won't use that scatter cushion. But if it's a cheapy scatter cushion, we can use it, I promise. Little dish towels, rolled up socks, pillows, dog beds, your legs, your feet, your arms, all of that can be classified as equipment.
Oh, fantastic. So obviously, as a human, when we do yoga or exercises or stretching, they always say you kind of lean into the stretch or the pain or whatever, the discomfort.
Lean into the discomfort, yes.
Is that the same for the dogs, or is there a point where we need to stop?
It's dog dependent. So canine yoga isn't, I'm not a physiotherapist. I'm not a vet. I'm a coach. Okay, I'm a fitness coach. My job is to teach you, the owner, the signs of discomfort, the signs of pain, the signs of over-arousal, opting out, all of those nice pieces of information that the dogs give us. And we can then use these exercises to actually diagnose, not quite diagnose, but I can kind of give the physio or the vet an indication of where the dog might be uncomfortable based on what we're seeing during these exercises. So I'll always arm the client with photos and videos showing how the dog should be performing the exercises versus how they are, send that off to the physio or the vet, and we already have a much clearer picture. So yes, there is a point where we need to stop, but also it depends on your goals. I am an agility, I'm a massive agility fanatic, so I want my dogs to be fit. They're not just pet dogs. I want to be functional and comfortable. I want them to be fit. I want them to be fast. I want them to be resilient. They need to be able to compete in rain and mud and heat. So I need to prepare their bodies for that. I pay close attention to signs of fatigue while I'm doing the exercises. I will push just beyond those signs of fatigue if it's a fit, healthy dog. If it's a puppy, an elderly dog, an injured dog, you want to rein it in, rather just train the behaviors more often rather than push the dog to extreme fatigue. So yeah, very dog dependent. Again, there's no one size fits all. And
how often?
Oh, how often? Also, I would love to sit here and tell you you've got to do it 4 times a week, but realistically, who has time? Okay. If you're dealing with an injured dog, a dog who's got some sort of, if they're compromised in some way. So for example, I've got a little tripod that comes to me for yoga, and you work with a physiotherapist or a vet. The physiotherapist may prescribe set exercises that have to be done 3 or 4 times a week. Okay, so those ones have no choice. That is your homework. You have to make 5 minutes a day for those. The rest, it's maintenance and prevention. So once a week is more than enough. But obviously, if you want to really reap the benefits, 3 or 4 times a week is better. I'm busy. I mean, Retha might know I'm busy. I'm booked from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. And I manage 15 minutes a day with each of my dogs. And if I can do that, it's really not.
Yeah.
It's that
Okay. I was just going to ask you about the length of the session, because I know with training they always say, and especially with the Ridgebacks, is like keep the session short before they lose interest. So it's the same kind of principle applies here as well.
Yes. I want to focus more on the quality of the exercise, the quality of the dog's enjoyment and engagement, rather than push them so full and tired that they're not enjoying it anymore. And then we also potentially risking injury. So short and sweet always better, especially with puppies and older dogs. My athletes, Ruby, Simon, I will try and push them to 30 to 40 minute sessions with no rest, because they are athletes. But that's with the guidance of their physiotherapist and their vet. I have a very close communication structure with everybody, and everybody knows if my dog is offloading a leg even slightly, or if a measurement changes between the left and the right leg by 0.5 centimeters, they know. So again, dog dependent, but shorter is always better.
So I've got a question with regards to you. You've mentioned it a few times now that you work together with your physiotherapist and the dog. So what about areas where there is no physiotherapist? A client of mine has got a dog that is now a tripod, young dog. There's no physiotherapist in her area. And in my opinion, I would then say start with canine yoga in terms of doing exercises and assisting the dog for better balance and everything.
It's a great question, Retha, and it's a problem, especially in the general public in South Africa. Spending a lot of money on a dog is hard for a lot of our average South Africans, and physiotherapists are weird. When I first got my dogs, I'd never heard of a dog physiotherapist. I was actually quite cross 5 years in when I figured out nobody had told me there was a dog physiotherapist. I actually yelled at my vet. Why didn't you tell me dog physiotherapists are a thing? I could have gone there. Anyway, so I also, 90% of my students will arrive with a slightly injured dog saying, I don't have money for a physio. I can't do a physio. It's not ideal. The physio is the vet pro. I am just a coach. I can give you a rough idea of what is injured. I can give you a guesstimate of how we can proceed, but it's just that, it's a guess. It's better than nothing. So I probably would warn the client that I'm not a physio. I would make them sign a disclaimer, and then I would proceed with caution. I'm also very fortunate to have a very close relationship to a number of animal physios, and so I can, without pushing too much, sneak in the odd question or video or something to ask them for help. I'm a terrible business lady. If a client is really struggling with money, I often end up buying them a physio voucher, which is far more than I would ever charge for yoga, but the dog comes first. So we'll make a plan. If I need to find a student physio to help you, I will. But yeah, I've got my favorites, and I will also negotiate and beg and see if they will give us a little discount. But yeah, we make a plan.
Physios, I believe, I totally think between physio, canine yoga, and acupuncture, there's such a huge role that all three elements plays together. But the reality is there is places and towns in our country that does not have access, and traveling 6 hours to get to a physio is actually defeating the object, because having the dog in a car for 6 hours and then back, you are so. I wish you could have physio online, but I mean, that's not really.
Well, there are a couple of numbers I can give you for online consults. Okay. The physio will try and talk you through how to feel the dog. There's always options, Retha. There are physio that do online consults. There are also so many tools. Okay, canine yoga, we will teach you palpation. We will teach you stretches. We will teach you how to feel your dog, how to find out where they're sore and how they're sore. And then we'll also teach you massage. So fascia release, skin rolls, skin pulls. the 4 T's, tenderness, texture, temperature, tone. We'll teach you all of that so that at least you've got some basic tools for when you cannot get to a physio. It's not a replacement for a physio, but it is certainly going to help. There's also, I mean, the digital age, there's so many online massage courses you could do. It's really very accessible and it's not too expensive.
I can just say from my experience, so we had Riley was one of Leanne's clients at some stage, and tools that we did with her and got with her to learn and how to evaluate certain situations with her was it is really, I would say everybody need to do canine yoga. Totally the best thing that you can do for your dog. I've been trying to get Aubrey for a while to say, come, you need to take Adam. It's just not just for the physical part of it, but also for the mental stimulation. It does make a difference. I mean, when he comes back,
he brought Adam last week Wednesday.
The dog was amazing.
I've never seen Aubrey sweat so much.
But I mean, the next day, Adam, I mean, we could see, Aubrey said to me that he could see such a huge improvement after one session. I mean,
okay, good.
He was quite disappointed that there's no classes tonight. I need her as well. So anyway.
Yeah,
and back to the earlier question, Adam is a dog that cannot focus around other dogs, so he needs his own run. So we fitted him into the quietest class. It's maybe not the class that Aubrey wanted. It's a 7:00 on a Wednesday evening class because it's quieter. So there's only 1 or 2 other dogs in the class. And I can give him personal attention because good grief, Adam needs it. He's a handful.
He is also AD. His name is ADDM. So he has got severe ADD. He doesn't even have ADHD, he's got ADD severely. So, yeah.
Sure. One of the benefits, I'm just thinking because you're talking about the behavior and the connection with the humans. So this is something that could be very beneficial for someone who's maybe adopting a dog and they don't necessarily want to do obedience classes because I think sometimes obedience is a little bit stiff and restrictive and this could be a perfect way for you to bond with your new dog.
It's the foundation because we will start you right at the beginning. My first lesson is always just the simple thing of being able to handle the treats. It's how can you do all this advanced? I get a lot of really, really beginner handlers, with really troubled dogs, either physically or mentally. And the dog has never even really learned how to take food from a hand. And the owner never learned how to handle the food to get it into the dog's mouth without it falling and distracting the dog, and every dog after them because there's food all over the floor. You're starting right back from basics. So I would, my first advice is always, if you get a good puppy socialization class and yoga if you can afford it, or yoga later if you can't afford both. And I believe I think Shannon has actually added a whole lot of yoga exercises to our standard puppy syllabus now, which is it's lovely. So our pups at least leave puppy class with 3 exercises under their belts.
That's fantastic. Sure. Are there any special terms that we need to look out for? Like special names for exercises,
Oh, this is so funny. This is very funny. Depending on which physio or vet professional or coach you are dealing with, the names of the exercises will all vary. I work very closely with Ansi. I learned from Ansi many years ago. And I remember many years ago sitting in her class and an exercise was called, for example, the play bow. Then 2 years later, it becomes the dolphin. Then a year later, it becomes the curtsy. And so I'm telling my students tonight we're going to be doing the curtsy, and they all look at me squiff, and they're like, why do you keep changing the names? So I think it's important also, I try and learn all of the names for the same exercise. And while I'm teaching, I try and tell the students what it could potentially be called. Because, for example, I had a student go to a physio with a slight hind limb lameness, and the physio prescribed the plank. And for the plank, for us, the plank is the mermaid, and for Auntie, the plank is the swan dive. And so when the physio and the client were talking, they were saying the mermaid, the plank, the mermaid, the plank, and then they demonstrated on the dog and figured out they were talking about the same thing. So just canine yoga is all part of the education process of all of those various names. And every international course I do, there's a new name to learn. It becomes very confusing.
Yeah, no, it sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah. How do you?
Sorry.
Go on. No, go.
Now, I there's a lot of body awareness that happens in this, okay? Do you want to elaborate a little bit about the importance of and the benefits of going through body awareness through the dog's body awareness and understanding his limitations and
Sure.
what does it mean and why does it matter?
Okay, body awareness, the ability of the mind to perceive where the body is in space. So I recently suffered a knee injury, and my physio told me to lie on my back, bend my knees, and put my feet side to side. And I did that, and I sat up, and my feet were, I don't know, about 10 centimeters separate. It felt right, but when I looked, and I couldn't quite connect what I was seeing to what I was feeling. So dogs don't know they've got back legs. They think they're just floating heads. And we have to teach them that they've got this body. And we've got to teach them that they've got to look after this body. Otherwise, it's going to hurt. So proprioception should be the number one thing you start teaching your puppy as they grow. Also, as they grow, their body, their growth happens faster than their nervous system can keep up with. So you might find 1 week your puppy has beautiful proprioception, and the next week they're tripping over everything and walking over everything. And that's because the growth rate is going faster than the mind can keep up with. So canine yoga is going to help with that. It's going to help. It'll also teach them to be more gentle in play, to have more empathy in play. If you teach your dog where their body is in space, they're much less likely to trample your tiny little miniature American Shepherd. They're going to be more aware of her and not stand on her. Sage, I'm talking to you. Simon's got beautiful body awareness. He'll step over her perfectly. Sage needs a bit more work. So it teaches them social skills. If you can not bowl over your buddy while you're playing, you're going to have a better relationship with your buddy. And then also when there is an injury, the brain protects that area. And it takes a lot of reprogramming to try and get the brain to let go of protecting that area, to make the brain feel safe. So all of the exercises we do, because there are such a high rate of reinforcement and such a nothing is ever forced, it is all choice-based, the dog learns to feel safe in their body again. And that's going to help prevent further injury and heal the existing injuries. Did that answer your question? I feel like I went off.
No, very well, a very great answer. You've touched on injury prevention there. How does this actually prevent injuries?
Okay,
because
so I'm not saying that doing yoga is going to mean your dog will never have an injury. But so these are essentially rehab exercises, okay? You are teaching your dog rehabilitation exercises before there is an injury. So essentially they're learning the behaviors before there is any pain, which makes it a lot easier to learn a behavior. Trying to learn to do an exercise when you're already in pain is going to be a lot more difficult, okay? And then in doing so, in teaching the exercises before your dog needs it, you're strengthening all of those muscles and all of those tendons and all of those ligaments that support those joints, and you're making that body a lot more resilient. So hopefully in the event that they do something stupid, the body is a lot more prepared for either a quicker recovery or a much reduced injury. Okay. Also, some dogs are just structurally inclined to get injured. Okay. The straighter the knees, the less dog there is behind that line of the knees, the more likely they are to rupture a cranial cruciate. Okay. If you can keep them strong and flexible, hopefully they will never rupture that cruciate. But if they do, you've already got those behaviors trained. That recovery is going to be so much quicker, so much easier. The dog already loves the exercises. They will hopefully remember that reinforcement history over the current pain. I recently rehabbed a dog who had a ligament injury, and she didn't have even the tiniest bit of conditioning history. And everything took a lot longer. She was at a much higher risk of re-injury because I was trying to train the behaviors with a broken dog. It's like trying to learn to drive with a flat tire. So it's much easier to rehab a dog who's already learned all of these lovely, lovely tricks.
Is there specific dogs that's more at risk for injuries that yoga will specific breeds, for argument's sake?
Yeah, every breed. My husband's always saying every breed has their Achilles heel. Siberian Huskies tend to have spondylosis, lumbosacral degeneration. German Shepherds, hips and spine. Staffies, cruciate ruptures. Every dog has their Achilles heel. Little Iggies, my miniature American Shepherds, not mine, but miniature American Shepherds tend to have patella issues. So yes, we can take the breed and adjust the exercises specifically to help that specific breed. So I'll always, during a class environment, I'll always say this is particularly good for this particular dog with this particular problem, just to try and educate everybody in the group. Maybe they've got a second dog at home who's also suffering with a sore back, but yeah, definitely predisposal to injuries is a thing, definitely. My Huskies are all riddled with spondylosis, and I've done everything right, but they are all completely functional because we've done yoga from young. So though their x-rays are terrible, they have no pain, they all move beautifully, they all have full happy lives.
And that is actually quite amazing, because your Huskies did agility, and agility is very dogs that does agility. There's this perception out there that dogs that does agility is more injury prone because they can do these crazy things. So and in my brain, I'm just seeing this huge Husky that's huge because they're big and they're doing these things, and I've seen them on the field, and I look at the age your dogs get and how injury free they are, then you must be doing something right by doing the yoga part in their lives. And so,
and you make a good point. Agility dogs are more prone to injury because we push for speed and we push for drive, not to be mistaken for over arousal. We want drive, not over arousal, but sometimes we get over arousal by accident, and that also increases risk of injury. Agility dogs are crazy. So yes, they are more prone to injury. Believe it or not, obedience is a sport. The dog is in heel, their neck is turned up and to the right. There's more weight on one back leg than the other. There's more weight on one front leg than the other. Their spine might be slightly curved to the handler. You're doing repetition to compete, or even just to pass a happy dog school grading. Your dog's going to end up with asymmetries. They're going to be more prone to injury. I actually used to drive my poor obedience instructors nuts because whatever we practiced with the dog in heel during the class, I would quickly sneak behind the car and repeat it on the right. And I would be told to stick to the syllabus and set a better example. But I wanted balanced dogs. I would rather repeat the course, ruin my perfect heel work, do the obedience course 2 or 3 times and have perfect heel work on both sides and know that my dog is sound. But that's me.
I think a lot of people isn't aware about this.
Hey, what?
I don't think a lot of pet parents are actually aware of this. It is something that, I mean, I've had how many dogs in my life, and until I met you a few years ago, I had no clue Absolutely no clue.
I mean,
and I still don't have a clue.
As a first-time dog owner, I taught my dogs tricks. It was the fun thing to do. And I taught them all to roll over only to their left. My right, if I may, only. Both of my older dogs ended up with very bad spines. And when I tried to correct my mistake later in their lives, they physically could not roll over in the other direction. I just didn't know any better. Now I'm very I always joke that if I had enough money to build my own home, it would be perfectly symmetrical with the same distractions on both sides of the home so that my dogs could scream around the corner in both directions evenly, because it drives me nuts that my house is asymmetrical and they're always turning the wrong way, always at the same direction. So, I used to assist in puppy classes when I was still studying, and I could walk into a puppy class and identify the right-handed handlers from the left-handed handlers based on how their puppy was sitting. It is quite amazing how we pass our asymmetries onto our dogs without knowing. So canine yoga will teach you how to undo some of that damage. I'm always saying to my handlers, do the same number of reps treating with your left hand as with your right hand, because you might accidentally be making your dog a little bit squiff. And it's great for you. You're going to get stronger in your weaker hand. It's probably also quite good for the handlers.
That's been kind of my light bulb moment now for this talk, because it's something that I never considered. Because when you're practicing for the sport, you're just doing it as they want it done. And okay, the light's gone on there.
And yes, it is going to ruin your training a little bit, trying to get the heel on the other side. But in the long run, your dog will have a longer career, a healthier life, less pain, less asymmetry.
Yeah. I think the goal with most of the dog sports is the bond that you have and having fun. And, the prize is like a distant thing, I suppose.
Yes.
Or it should be, But, okay. But thank you for that one. That is really to switch the light on for me there.
Nice.
Because, even with simple things like just heel walking, they always say, walk the dog on the left.
Yeah, always. Yeah, of course. And there's reason for that. That was your dog formed part of your shield in a war. Your weapon would be in your right hand, your shield, and your dog would be in your left. But it's if you're doing it competitively and you're doing reps, you do need to think about the physical consequences of that.
And now my head's going on a tangent, because if you're walking on a road and there's a camber and you're always walking on the same side of the road.
I'm sorry, I have opened the can of worms for you. You're never going to see your home in the same way again. I even try and alternate which side I get my dog in and out of the car. I mean, I'm now obsessed.
I think you all of a sudden have OCD about certain things, about
exactly,
that you didn't even really notice.
But it does make sense, because it's the same with us as well. You sit in a certain way, and so your body just adapts, and you walk funny. Because
at 80 years old, you think, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
No, hindsight is a great thing. Are there any, sorry, I just want a last one from me, from just the technical point of view. Are there any of the poses, I'm calling it poses now, I don't know if that's the right word, movements, that the dogs prefer naturally?
It's dog dependent. So every dog I find has their favorites, and every dog has their ones where you can just see them going, oh, this chicken heart is not worth it. It's just not worth it. Keep your chicken heart. I'm not doing this. Unfortunately, it tends to, in my experience, it tends to be the case that the exercise the dog least likes is the one they need the most. So, like I said, canine yoga can help with diagnostics. If a dog really dislikes an exercise, there's probably a reason for it. And I have had, very sadly, I don't like being right, but I've had a couple of situations where a dog's been really reluctant to do a sit, for example, or they're sitting but really sloppy, and everything is being done right. The handling is spot on. The dog is understanding perfectly, but it's just going wrong. And in that case, it was bilateral grade 4 luxating patella. So you can, I immediately after the third session, I could see this dog was really showing signs of discomfort. Whale eye, lip licking, refusing the treats, didn't want to engage, only on that one exercise. Sent it to the vet, bilateral knee ups, just awful. But the nice thing is we caught it early. We got the up done young, and now hopefully she'll have a better life. And then there's the other extreme where my dogs, they've been pushed through that discomfort enough with such a positive rate of reinforcement and no force that the exercises that should hurt are their favorites. So Simon has some lumbosacral degeneration. His sacrum's not so healthy either. His hips are not so healthy. He's old. He's been doing agility his whole life. He's got spondylosis. And he kind of, you can see him leaning into the exercises that feel good. But when an injury is fresh, you can see he's reluctant. So it's like he knows that pushing through it will make him feel better in the long run. This is obviously an experienced dog. The less experienced dogs, you've kind of got to convince them to trust their bodies, to trust the process, to push but not into pain. It's a big thing to watch. It really is. I've got a husky who's always got a slightly sore iliopsoas, and his favorite exercise happens to be the one for the iliopsoas. When we're trying to get him to do something else, he will offer the iliopsoas exercise. Then we kind of know he's a little bit sore and he wants to stretch that bit. It's lovely. I've got another student we've taught massage. He was really scared of people when he started with me. He's become so accustomed to yoga and being checked at the beginning of each class that he will put the sore bit into my hand. So if I just stand there and hold out my hand, he will literally place whichever bit is the most sore in my hand. And this was a dog that was too scared of people to, so you'll see he'll give me the whale eye and he'll lip lick when I massage the sore bits, but he's volunteered it. He understands it. That also reminds me, canine yoga will also help with your cooperative care. We'll teach you techniques to help your dog cope in a physio environment, cope with having their nails trimmed. It's not always successful, but we try. For example, I've done everything right, teaching my border collie to have his nails trimmed. And once that first nail is trimmed, I have to start right back at the beginning of the program. But we try. I also... my old Luna Lovegood, I used to give her pentazan injections and vitamin B shots, and I would actually do it as part of her yoga sessions. Get her to stand on the equipment. She understands the equipment means stay put, quickly give her shots. It's part of the game. She didn't even know. It was a weekly occurrence. She would even offer the scruff of her neck at the end of by the time it was, she was so good. It's just so useful in so many ways.
Tell us a little bit about, I'm sure some people would like to hear this explained a little bit more, how impulse control and calmness is learned from yoga for a dog to be more calm.
Okay, so no amount of training can override genetics. If your dog is genetically predisposed to be anxious, hyperactive, Adam, Sage.
No, you're not giving us really no hope.
If your dog is predisposed to be nervous, no amount of training is going to fix that, but we can give you tools to help. Okay. As an example, I teach the rest position or lie flat position, which is just where you get your dog to lie calmly on their side. The theory goes that if you can calm the body, the mind will follow. I use the rest position quite regularly in my day-to-day activities with my dogs to try and diffuse situations. One of my favorite stories is I took Simon to World Champs, the FCI World Champs, nogal. I was crazy, right in the deep end. He wasn't ready. He was only 3 years old. That's far too young. I thought I knew everything. I knew nothing. We were underground in a tunnel under the arena waiting for the opening ceremony, and there was some delay. there were 200 high drive border collies in this tunnel. I'm exaggerating. It wasn't all border collies, but when you live with a husky who doesn't like border collies, it felt like all border collies. And we were confined. We couldn't move forward. We couldn't move back. We just had to wait. And it was hot. They had the heating on. You're in Finland. You think it's going to be freezing, but no, they all use heaters. We were so hot. And Simon started to get ratty with our neighboring border collies. And the situation started to escalate and we were trapped. Thank goodness I always have treats with me. Got him to lie on his side. Got him to calm down. Just the very act of me having something to do calmed me down, made me feel proactive. The whole situation diffused. I think it saved his life. I think it saved my reputation. Can you imagine the news? 12 border collies bitten by a rogue Siberian husky at Agility World Champs. It would have been very embarrassing. So I often, if I'm waiting in the vet room, I'll use the exercises I've learned in yoga to diffuse situations when my dogs are stressed. It's really useful. We also teach them to make good choices because everything is choice-based. We'll work on treat manners, taking food without hurting your handler's hands. And I'll work with whatever food you choose to work with. So if you want to use very hard biscuity types, it's not my favorite, but I'll try and find a way to make it work. The other night, Aubrey arrived with a bowl of sloppy possum raw mince. We made it work. Okay. All the other dogs in the class only wanted to get to that run, but we made it work. Okay. So yeah, we will, the impulse control, I've only tipped the iceberg. I've decided I need to actually also do a behavior course now. The more you learn, the more you realize you don't know. But yeah, that impulse control is massive. As part of our canine yoga exercises with the particular staffy I work with, we've been working on impulse control around toys. So just the act, this dog cannot look at a toy without taking it, whether it's his or somebody else's. And then once he's got it, he can't let go of it. Where it was potentially becoming a little bit dangerous. I was worried he was going to redirect if we tried to take that toy. So we've been building enough value for the yoga that he can now work with the toy a meter away, then half a meter away, then right under his nose. Then we're going to transfer that to a different location. And by the end of a few months of working like this, the dog is actually able to go to an agility competition and not run off with somebody else's toy. So yeah, so many benefits.
So that actually covers the whole mental exercise thing of get them mentally fit and mentally more the mental enrichment from canine yoga.
I mean, okay, so a walk around the block. First of all, you're going to have a whole lot of dogs screaming at your dog through the fence. It's going to teach your dog that all other dogs are psychos. It's going to increase stress levels. Maybe your dog pulls on leash, you get stressed. A walk is also cardio only. If there's any asymmetries, any pre-existing conditions, any discomfort, a walk is going to strengthen what's already strong and weaken what's already weak. It's not going to correct poor movement habits. Okay. A walk is going to increase arousal levels. Canine yoga literally does the complete opposite. Brings those arousal levels right down and it corrects poor movement habits. I will take my four crazy agility dogs for a 2-hour-long hike with friends. They run, they play, they scream, they bark, they pounce on each other. We climb a mountain, we swim in the river, we get back. They're normally limping and ratty with each other. You do 15 minutes of canine yoga, they passed out, they playing gently on the bed with a toy. It has a completely opposite effect. I would even go so far as to say, stop walking your dog. Just do yoga. I used to walk a lot. I no longer walk my dogs. At absolute most, I'll rent a private dog park, exclusive use. Maybe get a couple of my close friends to join me, dogs that I know are trustworthy. The rest of the time, it's just yoga. Obviously, also, as I've gotten older and my body's not keeping up with the walking anymore, yoga's been an absolute blessing. I've just had this knee injury I've been off my feet for 2 months. I do not know what I would have done without yoga, because I can sit, I can give my dogs a good workout, I can burn off all of that energy. It's a healthy workout. I'm not exacerbating any problems, and I know I've done right by my dogs, and it's minimal effort from me.
I so often found that people think they've got an active dog, they've got to add him in their lives, and let's go run him and get him tired.
And, you're just going to create an athlete. You're going to need more
an Olympic athlete, and it's just wanting more and more and more and more.
Yeah,
so for me,
exactly.
it makes so much sense.
You're creating a cardio athlete. The more he does, the more he needs. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the mental stimulation is definitely underestimated. And
I think in total, pet parents underestimate the importance of mental stimulation. I mean, even with toys and things like the Ottoman toys and snuffle mats and snuffle balls and things like that, that has been sort of promoted and people are sort of aware of it. I still think there's a huge gap of the importance of mental stimulation for dogs. I think we'll have a much, much happier world with dogs that is with pet parents that's more aware of mental stimulation and the importance of that. It is,
it's also problem solving skills that I think can save a dog's life. Just a funny little, a very random story that just popped into my head. My dogs have always escaped their crates and opened doors, and it's always driven me nuts because they do get me into trouble. But it also saved their lives once. I don't know if you remember, I think it was about 2015-ish. There was tornadoes on the West Rand. Do you guys remember that?
Yes.
I was out on a shoot. It was back when I was still a full-time photographer, and I heard that there was tornadoes over my area. I had left my dogs crated in the house, so I assumed they were safe. When I got home, our house had flooded. There was an electric wire, a live electric wire in the water, and the water was under the dogs' crates. Somehow my dogs had escaped. They'd gotten out of the crates and out of the house. They weren't in that water when I got home. I to this day do not know how they got out, but I'm so grateful because I think they would have been electrocuted. It's just, the problem solving can bite you in the bum, but it's also, I really think it's a valuable skill for your dogs to have. And it builds confidence if they can solve the problem. Yeah, they are so confident.
That's another thing that's totally underestimated is dogs with confidence and how they can stand, how much better
Even
it is if
the simple act of standing with their front feet raised builds confidence. Just that one exercise, just standing with their front feet up on something, it's going to make them feel better about their environment, be more confident in that environment. So if I get a nervous dog join a class, that's the very first thing I teach. Front feet up and just stay there. You don't have to do anything. You can survey your territory from that position. It's lovely. It teaches the puppies now too.
Leanne, would you mind? I think there's a lot of listeners listening to this, and I think, is there a few tips that you can give us, our listeners, to try, something for them to try, to just try at home that's easy to start, something without the actual class, just a simple thing that they can do?
Absolutely. So I've got 3 exercises I will add to every workout. If I do nothing with my dog, I do these 3 exercises at least every second day. One of those 3 exercises is called the Crescent moon or the side bend. It's literally just the dog bending their spine, bending their nose from their nose to bum. Okay, so trying to get lateral spine flexion. So what I did was about a year ago, I put together a little video on the basics of how to train this behavior, right from beginner level all the way to more advanced level. And I've shared that video with Antonette. I don't know if there's any way, but it's a bit long, so I don't think we should watch it now. It's about 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
I think
long.
what we can do is when I load the recording, I'll definitely add it on.
Sure.
So that it's in that people can see it, but I'll also share it when we finish this. I'll share that as well, so they can see it.
Joseph Pilates says you are only as young as your spine. So if you can keep that spine bending as much as possible for the dog's life, you're on your way to a nice, healthy life, a good long health span. Okay. The dog in the video is Cadus. This was taken about 3 months before he passed away. Turns out he was riddled with cancer. But if you look at this boy, we thought he just had really bad arthritis, and the arthritis had flared up. So he lost the ability to bend his spine as much as he used to as a puppy. And I retrained it. And I mean, this dog was hiking almost till the day he died. He was giving me gray hairs right until the day he died. So I think that this one exercise can give your dog a lot with minimal effort.
That is great.
Brilliant.
So for our listeners that want to do canine yoga, I mean, I've yet managed to find somebody around me, and I don't know if it's just because I'm too busy and busy with my own life that I don't know where to go. But you do online classes?
I do. I am one of a group. I'm just so Auntie van der Walt trained all the official canine yoga instructors. It's a trademarked term. It's just a specific brand of canine conditioning. My suggestion is you don't have to do canine yoga per se. Just find some kind of good canine fitness. Okay. So obviously there's me. I work for McCanine. McCanine is a big franchise of dog schools around Joburg. We've got Delta Park, Honeydew, my own branch, Randpark Ridge. If none of those suit you, or if they're full, they generally are quite full. Sorry, guys. Then Canine Yoga has a website that lists all of the canine yoga instructors. Most of them do online, even if they're not in Joburg. And then if that's still not working for you, just Google canine fitness. I found amazing resources. There is Annalise Sanders, a canine conditioning coach in the States. There's I could list a million names, all my heroes who I love to follow and watch, but the rand-dollar exchange rate kills us a little bit. Dogs for Motion is very affordable, even though they're based in Europe. Their foundation canine fitness course is absolutely superb. I know what I'm doing, and I still redo that course over and over again to make sure that I'm not cheating or that I'm not forgetting something, because you can't be objective about your own dog. So, I mean, I've studied, and I will still revisit my notes. With every new dog, I read the notes slightly differently. So yeah, there's so many options. It's not just canine yoga. Just get your dog into a fitness class. Obviously, make sure it's a good fitness class. Somebody registered with some sort of body. Your CPCFTs, your I can maybe send Antonette a list.
Yes, please. Yes, I was just going to say, and I think
people find you.
Sorry. Oh, where do you want to find me?
So we will put a link in the comments of where people can find you and contact you if they want to. I can say a little bit of punt of Leanne. Really, it is awesome to attend her classes. I know she's full, but try and get on the waiting list or get onto a list somewhere and find and do the effort, because it's really it is enriching and really motivating. And that would be great if we can do that. So you are out of competing a little bit for a while, but what is upcoming for you in terms? Is there anything exciting that we can tell our listeners about that you can that's exciting coming up for you in your life with your dogs?
You mean with my dogs personally, or in terms of business?
Your
Not
personal
really.
dogs
I'm pretty boring. I obsess over agility, and when there's no agility, I have a mental crisis. I do not know what to do with myself without agility. I'm just at the moment learning to survive again, because movement was my life, and I'm no longer allowed to move. I also did I nearly said I did canine yoga. I did human yoga 2 or 3 times a week. I did Pilates 2 or 3 times a week. I climbed walls at City Rock almost twice a week. I can't do any of that at the moment. So right now I'm just relearning how to train my dogs without running, Believe it or not, I'm trying to convince my brain that I can give my dogs just as full a life without running next to them. I can also just sit in front of them and still give them a workout. So yeah, there is one piece of exciting news, but I can't share it just yet.
And recording all of that so that you can share it with us.
Okay. Yeah, I will share the exciting news as soon as I can, but not yet.
Oh no.
What's wrong?
I was hoping for world champs this year, but that obviously didn't work out. What's wrong, Retha?
You okay?
No. You guys started staccato. When we hit an hour, then the signal starts going off.
Have I been talking about myself for an hour? Please stop me. Please
over an hour.
No, it's amazing. We can go on all night, in my opinion. I really love that. That was really, really, really nice having you.
Yeah, no, you definitely opened a can of worms for me as well. So
good. I'm glad.
So yeah.
Thank you for the time. I know you're a very busy lady, and you've actually sacrificed some training to be on Pawz People, and we really appreciate it. From us, I want to say to our listeners, relax, have fun with your dogs, and really, really investigate how you can get a better bond and better connection, and start doing some canine yoga. Thank you, guys. And yeah, it was great having you. See you next week.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Have a good evening. Thanks, Leanne.
Good evening. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Leanne.
Bye.